Hey friends, just hopping on here really quick. A lot of you have asked, like, how do I start a starter, or where do I get a starter? And if you don't have access to a fresh starter, this 10-day challenge is for you. So I'm going to go step by step how to start your starter from scratch. I'm going to go along with you right now so that you can see the progress, find out what's like normal or good or whatnot. So today, day 0 is just going to be gathering your supplies. All you need is a jar. I'm just going to use a little mason jar for now, a spatula, water, and flour, which I have in my big tub here, and then a scale. A kitchen scale will probably be best. Otherwise, you need a 1/3 cup and a 1/4 cup measuring cup. So this is day 0. Get your materials gathered, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 1. So day 1 of starting your sourdough starter. Let's get started. So dorky, I know. Anyway, so the first thing that we are going to do is zero out our scale. Guys, this is so easy. You're going to wonder why you haven't done this before. Okay, zeroed out the scale. Then I'm going to add 50 grams of water, which is about a 1/4 cup. And then I'm going to add 50 grams of flour. So the one reason why I like using the kitchen scale is because it's 50-50 every day. And then the 50 grams of flour is closer to a 1/3 cup. So it should look like this. And all we're going to do today is stir this around. And so I'm stirring it. And it's going to be kind of like a thick paste. And we're going to set this aside until tomorrow. So 24 hours or so. And then we're going to come back and we're going to check on it. So you can cover this with plastic wrap or a coffee filter and rubber band, whatever you would like to use to cover it. You just don't want flies to get into it and that kind of stuff. So you can even just put like a towel on it. Let's see what I have. So for today, I'm just going to cover it, leave it on the counter, set my timer, and come back tomorrow. All right, we'll see you tomorrow for day 2. So we are starting day 2 of feeding our sourdough starter. So yesterday I had just ended up putting a towel on. I saw that it was starting to dry out, so I put just a Ziploc over my bag, and this is what it looks like. Not much happening. However, there are little bubbles here already starting to form, so this is a really good sign. So what we do today is we take out half, and we are just going to throw this away. You can't really use it yet. It doesn't have the proper bacteria structure to be safe to consume yet. So we're going to take about half of it out. And then we are going to, so I have just a little bit in there. I'm going to zero out my scale. And then I'm going to add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour. And if it's a little over, just add a little bit more flour or water. You want like a thick pancake consistency. And so then this will look like this. I'm gonna just mix that up. And again, so if you don't see any activity at all, it would be okay for you to let this sit for another day or even another 12 hours. We are on day 3 of feeding our sourdough starter. And look at my starter. So this actually pretty much doubled, but this is called a false rise. For the next 3 or 4 days, it's going to deplete and have like no activity. So this is exciting and good. It's on track, but it's not like doubled and or ready to use yet. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna discard half of it. Yay. It's looking so good, even a little bit more. So this is what I have left. We add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour. Mix it together. And then we're gonna just wait another day. The next few days are kind of, maybe not much is gonna happen. I forgot to zero out my scale. So we're just gonna mix that up. And cover it and let it sit for another day. All right, see you tomorrow. Day 4 of feeding our sourdough starter. Full disclosure, it has been more than 24 hours, but I want to show you what happens when you forget to feed it. So this is, it's been like 12 hours longer than when I should have fed it. So there's like this liquid on top. So I can do a couple things. I'm gonna just stir this in, or I can just dump some of that liquid out. But this is just a very hungry starter. So I'm gonna stir it in. And I also want you to know that if you are dealing with a hungry starter, it eats all the thickness of the flour. So it literally is like water. So what that means is I'm gonna want to feed this with more flour today, and less water. So I'm still looking for that same consistency, and so I might do 25 grams of water today because it's already so wet, and then do 50 grams of flour. So that's why this is not exact. If you follow the recipe step by step and it's still not working out, then this is where you would make the adjustments with the water and the flour. So I'm going to just mix that together. And even a little thicker. So that's pretty thick. I'm going to let it be. And see you tomorrow for day 6. Wait, day 5. Day 5. All right, bye. All right, day 5 of feeding our sourdough starter. So remember yesterday I kind of fed it later than what I normally would, and then it is here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard half of this, just like we have been doing. And it is thicker, which is fine. So this is how thick it has been. This also would give me more time if I needed it. Okay, I'm gonna zero out my scale. So excited, it's basically the same thing. Every day, zero out my scale and put it in grams. So today I will do 50 grams of water. Stir that in. So when my starter is thick, I do like to mix it in with the water, but it's not necessary. And I use some of that water to clean the edges. And then 50 grams of flour. Mix it in and come back tomorrow. So I think something that we just kind of feel like we need to always be taking care of this, it's not so finicky. So if it's around 20 hours or 24 hours or 12 hours or wherever you can fit it in the day, feed it then. It's not that finicky. So one thing I do want to do today, so I'm going to scrape the edges pretty good, and I'm going to take a rubber band. I'm going to take the rubber band and I'm going to just mark where it is, where I have it fed. So then I can actually see how much it's growing or not growing. I'm not expecting any growth from it for a while, like 3 more days. But this is kind of just gives me a good idea of what it's doing. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Day 6 of our sourdough starter challenge. So here's our starter. Do you remember yesterday I had put a rubber band on just to kind of see the growth? And if you can see, it hasn't quite doubled yet, but it is doing a lot more activity. You might not see any rise at all, and that's completely normal. It all will depend on what's going on. So this is pretty drainy. So we're gonna do what we've been doing. We're gonna discard. Right, day 7 here. We have our starter. This guy yesterday went all the way up, kind of leaked over, and then settled back down here. So I've just been kind of doing a little bit of an experiment. I know a little risky, but I wanted to find out if we really needed to feed it every 24 hours or not. So far, I feel like it's doing better with a longer space in between the feedings. So I am kind of going to keep that up and see how that all will work out. So today, day 7, we're still gonna discard half of it. And again, I think the next feeding I'm gonna get a larger jar, because I even feel like this is too much, but I'm gonna discard a little bit more than just to make sure that when I feed it, it doesn't explode over the jar. So I have about this much starter. So my rubber band, if you can kind of see it, it's just like, it's like a little bit less than half of what was in there. And then, so we're gonna add the water. And flour. And then I'm just gonna mix this up. It smells a little bit more sour today. And that's good. It's doing as it should. So this is how thick I got it. And scrape the edges. I'm gonna move my rubber band a little bit down because it's a little bit lower. And then that is it. I'm gonna cover it, let it rest, and we'll be back tomorrow for day 8. Day 8 of feeding our sourdough starter. Can you believe that we have made it this far? I can't. All right, so this is where our starter's at, which is pretty normal for where we're at here. I'm going to feed it more on time the next few days, but it smells a little sour and it has a lot of little bubbles. So we're gonna do what we've done all of these days. We're gonna take out half of it. I'm gonna take out half of it. We're gonna add 50 grams of water. And we're gonna add 50 grams of flour. So I'm gonna stir that in. I'm kind of using just the water to clean the sides here. It gets pretty messy. That just tells me that my sourdough starter grows and then it falls again. And so that is good and fine. And then we are doing a 50 grams of flour. A little bit more. Perfect. And then we just mix. And at this point, you could start feeding it 2 times a day. I don't know that there's really any benefit to that. It kind of can you can start testing to see the strength of your starter. But I probably won't. We'll see. If this starts to like get all the way up to the top and it kind of needs to be discarded, then I may do a second feeding today. So I'm gonna move this to where my starter is so I can watch it, and then we will see you later and follow me to continue. Day 9 of feeding our sourdough starter. So we have a very hungry starter. There, you can tell there's some liquid in there. So we're gonna just mix that in. It's a little wet, so we're gonna not add as much water today. But we're gonna take out half of what we have there. I'm gonna probably add about 40 grams of water and 50 grams of flour, just because our starter is already wet. It's already pretty wet. Okay, so I'm gonna mix that in. And today, because it's day 9, this thing should double within the next 4 to 6 hours. If it doesn't, that's fine. We're just gonna keep going until it does. So we have our starter. This is how thick it is, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 10. Day 10. Wow, guys, I'm so proud of you that you have made it this far. So let's take a look at our starter today. So mine did double. It went all the way up to the top. It didn't overflow, and then it shrunk down, and this is what I would call a hungry starter. So at this point, we're gonna feed it. It's good to be used. It smells like sourdough, should, and not too sour. It kind of has like a pleasant sour smell, if that makes sense. And so we are pretty much good to go now. You can keep feeding this for even up to 4 more days like this on the counter, or you can start putting it in the fridge after you use it. So let it double, then you can put it in the fridge and keep it. But you're also ready to make bread with it. So I only feed my starter when I pull from it to make bread. So that is the little trick. So I do have a sourdough e-course. So if you're like, hey, now what? That is going to be the perfect place to start. And I detail all the things in this course. So it's going to be really easy to follow. And if you already know something, you can just skip that lesson, and it's a really fun little course. But okay, so I discarded, I added the 50 grams of water. Gonna mix that in really good. And we're gonna add our 50 grams of flour. And if you are not quite ready to, take a course, you can follow us in our hub. We have a small community there, and people can ask questions and get the answers that you need on your baking from home journey. Really, it's not exclusively sourdough in there. But we're fed, we're good to go, and we'll see you on the next challenge.